The power of the written word is a motto we all learned in school, but how successful are we really at writing and conveying a message?
Our next guest is an author who believes that better writing improves productivity as well as results, and we're going to find out how. We welcome to the Morning Blend Barbara McNichol. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you very much for having me here.
I'm glad to have you. So we were talking a little bit before the show, and especially these days with technology being, so out of control and people tweeting and people writing on Facebook, what challenges do people face these days with writing and writing concisely and clearly?
Well, I would say that being really verbose in the writing and in a hurry and speeding it up, maybe even being too short as well as too long-winded. They press the send button and guess what? It's a mess. People receive it, they don't understand it. They have to go back and forth to figure out what was meant to be said. It's a hurry-up society, and also I think there's a whole lot of education needed in how to write tightly, how to write more clearly and concisely. Now, from the workshop I did recently, one of the participants said, "Oh my gosh, I know people tell me to write tighter, but I didn't know what that meant until I took that workshop."
Right.
And what does writing tighter mean?
Well, I call it, I've given it a name.
Okay.
I call it whack wordiness. Whack, like whacking something long. You want to whack wordiness. Take all the extraneous phrases and wobbly words out of your writing.
So kind of the fluffy ones.
The fluffy ones.
Okay.
Fluffy ones. And the other point I really want to make is the fact that because people send too quickly, they don't take the time to reread what they've written. I've actually developed a mantra around that.
Okay.
It goes like this. Before you press that send button, you want to ask yourself, is what I say what I intend to convey? Is what I say what I intend to convey?
That's hugely powerful because with text messaging, for instance, people's intentions, I feel, get really lost in the message. And then on the other side, you get it and you're like, what in the world does this mean?
Yes.
And so you're saying that part of writing concisely and writing tight is being able to be persuasive. So how can people be more persuasive in their writing, like blogs, etc.?
Well, definitely learn the skill of whacking wordiness. Take some time to understand the grammar points that get messed up so much.
Yes.
I have a nephew who says, Michael and me go out to lunch all the time. And I'm correcting him. I mean, I want him to succeed in business, but if he's saying things like Michael and me or writing that, incorrect agreements are a real problem. I think it's very helpful to at least take a review and find out what is the correct English. Hey, we get so messed up, we don't know what's correct anymore.
Right.
And we talk about how powerful the written word is, and that leads to productivity. What is the connection there?
The connection for productivity? Well, accuracy is a big piece of it. Because again, you don't want to go back and forth.
I mean, how many times do you get emails and then you have a list and someone answers one question, and you got to email them again, and then they answer another question, and it's like, just answer all of them so we can move on.
You bet. Writing more concise subject lines or writing more concise headlines if it's a blog post or an article. There's a whole art to making that remarkable. But the point is that that's how people are making their decisions. So if you're sending an email, make sure you've got a subject line and say as much as you can in that subject line. I also know that you want to put the most important stuff in the first 30 characters because the second 30 characters often get cut off. So that's another piece. I would say people are using words incorrectly a whole lot. You hear it, and therefore you write it. Things like further versus farther, among, between, lose, loose. These are the kind of mistakes as an editor that I am fixing all the time.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to not only write correctly and write concisely, but then go back, read it with a refreshed mind, and then be able to revise it. So how important is it, do you think, to go back with a fresh mind and revise?
Absolutely critical. I call it proofreading with fresh eyes. And here's a suggestion for you, and that is before you press the send button, take a break. Walk away, get a glass of water, minimum 10 minutes. Go back and look at it fresh. Just like we talked about, what you write on a Friday afternoon is not the same as what you send on Monday morning, because you've had a chance to look at it again, make it stronger, make it more persuasive, and make sure it's accurate. Whack that wordiness and make sure that you're using all the right words.
I think there'd be a lot less fighting over text messaging if everybody did that. Barbara, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank
Barbara.
you.
Barbara will be doing a presentation and book signing at Mostly Books tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. She will also be offering her half-day workshop, Strengthen Everything You Write, on Friday, September 26th from 8:30 to noon and Saturday, October 25th from 9:30 to 1 at Tucson College at Broadway and Rosemont. To find out more, you can call 615-7910 or click online at barbaramcnichol.com.